And welcome to one and all, and a big thank you to TIPS Pallium Eco Session organization. Today, it's a pleasure to introduce Ms. Ashla Rani, who is a trustee and volunteer of Pallium India. And she has been associated since 2014. And she is a full-time volunteer. And she does an important job. As we have seen, what is palliative care? It is an interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary care provision, in which what we are trying to do is we are trying to alleviate suffering or heal or mitigate suffering, reduce suffering as much as possible. So in that, it is not one-man show. As the word says, interdisciplinary, multimodal, all that shows it's team working. So she plays a pivotal role. Medicine is one part of it. Emotion, counseling, psychological impact sometimes plays a bigger role too. So she does an important role of doing counseling for the most needed, and that is important to achieve our ultimate goal. So she's doing an excellent big job. And on top of that, she has also received the award as the Award of Excellence in Palliative Care in 2021, awarded by the Cancer Aid Society USA. And she has also won Kerala Government's Youth Icon Award of 2017. A warm welcome, madam, and the dais is for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Radha. So, good evening, everyone. Senior, okay, I have the sharing.
Yes, ma'am, already have.
Okay, so thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I'm so happy to be here and talking to all of you today. So we are, I know that you've been to many sessions where you must have got the introduction to palliative care and many other things. So now and today we are going to talk about a specific set of people to whom we are caring for. So this is caring for people with different kinds of disabilities. So we'll be talking about what is disability and why we should care for people with disabilities in palliative care, etc. in the coming 1 hour. So I came here as a care recipient to Pallium India in 2014. So that was 8 years back. So when I came here, I was like, okay, I needed, even now, so I need help, physical help to carry out all my daily activities. So I met with an accident some 10, 12 years back and injured my spinal cord. So today I need help to do all my daily activities, and I also use a wheelchair for my mobility. So I stay here in Pallium, India. So I stay in my room with my mother, and I get all the help which I need to function as a person, as a volunteer to Pallium India on a daily basis. And in turn, I am able to come here, be in this office room and work from morning to evening and do my, I feel that I'm doing something and I'm useful. I'm not just taking all the resources from the society, but still trying to give something back to the society also. So that is what I do on a daily basis. I try to help people wherever it is possible. So if you look at it, whatever I can do, it's only a minimum number of things which I can do. Maybe I can use my computer. I type it with my knuckles. I can't use my fingers, but I use my knuckles to type, and I can handle my laptop on my own. And I can, of course, I can talk, I can meet people, I can listen to them more. And I love listening more than talking. So I can do that. So when I at one point of time when I looked at my life, it was like, okay, what can I do? What can I not do? So there were a list of big list of things which I cannot do at the moment, but there are also a small, very small list of things which I can do. I can try to do. Maybe I can achieve if I try every day. So that was the situation at one point of time. So what I did was like I decided to look at the list of things which I can do. So maybe one or two things from that list. So that I will try to do. So that is how I reached Pallium India. In short, some 8 years back, I was in a hospital for 4 years, and then I thought, okay, I'll search for something, and I found Pallium India, and here I live uh, my life, and I feel that I'm doing something, and my life has a purpose at the moment. So that's a brief introduction about why my interest in disability and how I got to do this. Okay. So thank you once again for being here and listening to me. So, and we'll go with a disability definition. Many times we need some kind of a definition to start with so that we try to understand. And this is just an adapted from WHO definition. It's not a complete definition of like WHO definition. And I just took this to start our discussion, parents, so that we can talk about why and how something becomes a disability. So and if you search in Google, you'll be able to find many other big definitions also. That is for your free time. So disability, it is an umbrella term. So three main words which I wanted to highlight here are: it's an impairment. That means an impairment. I have an impairment. That means I cannot walk. I cannot use my legs to walk. So that is an impairment. That's a problem in my body function and structure. And I have an activity limitation. So I cannot use that, and I cannot walk to reach here. I cannot do many things using my legs and hands. So that impairment, my body function, problem in my body function is actually causing an activity limitation to me. And that is actually restricting my participation to the uh, community or to the society or to my daily life or whatever it is. So that is actually what is causing the disability. It is an umbrella term for all these together. So we'll not go in detail about this because it is for you to take a look at it sometime later when you're free and when you're interested to do that. So I just wanted to like highlight on this point because I have an impairment, and what is actually causing, how that impairment is causing a disability to me is when that I live in an environment which is not friendly and which is not accessible, and I live in a society where the attitude of people is not welcoming. So I cannot walk, but I have an electric wheelchair, and I live in Pallium, India, which is an accessible environment. So, and I have a uh, set of colleagues who are all welcoming and valuing and always pleasant to me. So I live in this environment, and my impairment is not causing any disability to me. So I have enough people to support me when I cannot do something. And this environment, the moment I am into wheelchair, I can go anywhere in this place. So that is welcoming and that is accessible. And people here, so they wholeheartedly welcome me to any program and anything which we do here. So when we have all these, I don't feel a disability in this place. So for an impairment, for a problem, for a functional issue to become a disability, there is an environmental factor and there is an attitudinal factor, which actually we as citizens of this world can actually contribute towards, either to feel somebody so disabled, or either to make them feel enabled and make them feel welcomed and happy. So that is in your hands, that is in our hands. We all have a choice here. So that's something which I think, which I hope that you will take from this session. So there are some facts about disability which I wanted you to understand. So these are some key facts which I took from WHO website, some of them. So there are over 1 billion people who are living with some form of disability in the world. And it is actually increasing dramatically. And it is due to demographic trends, chronic health conditions, and there are many other causes, but there are a major chunk of it is due to chronic health conditions and demographic trends. And this is actually an interesting point that almost everyone, okay, we have around 48 other people other than me in this call, and we all are very likely to experience some form of disability. Either it is temporary or it is permanent at some point of time. Maybe uh, uh, like you break your ankle, or you break your arm, or something, and which might be temporary but for some days you end up depending on somebody for some things to get your daily activities, and some form of disability. Or maybe at the end of your life, when you are into 90 or 95, you have lived all your life, and then we don't get a sudden death many times. Only one person out of 10 people die a sudden death. So maybe you will end up at your end of life, you will end up in bed for some days or months. That's quite natural, and that's quite normal. These are all the facts of the world which we live in right now. And this is said by WHO, that when people with disability access healthcare, there is a stigma and discrimination, and they receive poor quality of services many times. Like and there is an urgent need to scale up disability inclusion in all levels of healthcare system, particularly in primary healthcare. This is what WHO says. And but in a country like India, our country, we may not need it only in primary health care for our primary level, but in all levels. Like we don't have, our facility for rehabilitation is very minimal. We only get only a tiny fraction of people who need the kind of rehabilitation has access to it. So we need this inclusion in all levels of healthcare system, not just in primary level. So, and when it comes to the next point, we often experience stigma. So some things which are very easy for other people, but it might be for me to get an eye power checked, then get a change, get a glass changed. How difficult it is sometimes to find a place which is accessible and go and get it. And many times it is like people are not aware how to handle people with on X-ray table. So they don't know how to actually uh, help me to that table, in and out of that table, so that I have my own dignity, and that is kept even while we do the process of X-raying. In anything for that matter, I have accessed many times healthcare for many reasons after my accident. So I could see the difference, how it is like, okay, you come and lie down on your table. So, okay, that is very easy. You go and do it. You lie down, and that is the moment that is easy. And that is when you are actually called with a pleasant face. But the moment it is like you don't know how to lift yourself up, and they need people, they try to call, and they are like, okay, can't you do it? Just help us do it. And all those kind of dialogues and inappropriate dialogues and inappropriate treatment many times. So all these happens when you have a disability. And yeah, here comes a study which says that in most countries, disability is actually associated with poverty, lower educational attainment, lower employment rates, and higher medical expenditure. So it's quite natural. The moment if you are born with a disability, then you can't go to schools many times unless you have a very dedicated parents that they take you, they carry you all the way to school. They have their option, they have their time and money to do that. Then otherwise you don't get an access to this education just like any other child gets in our country. And you spend so much of money, and so you get into poverty and debt many times, because many times we don't know that okay, disability is a social issue and that it has to be managed in a different way. So you get to hear from many people that okay, try this one, try that one. So the access to information and right kind of information is not there many times, and you end up doing so many things, spending so much of money and going into debt. And higher medical expenditure, of course, because you can't access public transport, you don't, you feel sick and you fell sick so many times that you need to access medical, like healthcare institutions many times. So the level of access you need and the kind of resources you need to spend on that is many times higher. And because of that, you end up in poverty, and the whole family end up in poverty many times. And then the parents don't do anything at all except from raising these kids many times when there are more than one kid with disability in a family and all. I've seen it many times in families where we care for that this is happening, uh, especially with congenital disabilities. So, what are the barriers to access healthcare for people with disabilities? So, accessibility. It's actually not very easy for us to reach to hospital. So what happens? You suppose that you get a toothache one night, you are not able to sleep for the whole night. Okay, so you stay awake, but the next morning, what you do, you take a bus to the nearest dentist on your own, and you get it consulted, and either it is extracted or you're given medicines for your toothache, for the pain to subside and the swelling to be gone, and then you'll be given a schedule or another consultation day to extract the tooth as required. So simple. That was one night of one horrible night, and that's gone. And in another 2-3 days or a week, it's done for a small toothache. But I got it recently. I couldn't sleep for the whole night, and what what was it for me to go through it? So I got up in the morning, or I don't know where to go for a tooth extract. So I called one of my colleagues who did BDS. So I called her. I need to get this done immediately, and where to go. And she made a lot of calls to understand, okay, where it is wheelchair accessible, where I can go. Because many times these clinics are usually on the second floor or third floor or somewhere in between with many steps and all. So you don't get to be there. So she called and she found out a place, and I got an appointment for 2 o'clock. Then I arranged a vehicle here, and then there were volunteers and my colleagues to actually carry me in and out of that vehicle. So I got there, and then I got it done. They extracted my like tooth. So that was over. So for me, that was possible because I stayed in Pallium, India. Because I had all this colleague to make a couple of calls to find out where it is accessible and get an appointment for me, and colleagues to actually drive me and ship me to that hospital and help me there also. And because I got this appointment through somebody who knew them, So I got a good treatment over there. And even otherwise, I would have got good treatment, but the reaching there and finding a doctor would have been very difficult. And I can only imagine what would it have been for me and my mother if I was back home in my village, where we both will be all alone, and there is no road access to the house, and there is no people to carry me all the way to the road and to the vehicle and to the clinic, wherever it is. So accessibility is a barrier for many people and dependence on others. As I said, I had all these people who are actually committed to help each other and committed to help all our patients. So it wasn't, I never felt that, okay, I'm depending on somebody when they were there. But otherwise, if I was at home, I would have felt it so heavily, I'm sure. And it is high cost of transport. You can just take a public bus if you want to go, government bus. But for me, I need to have either a car or an ambulance or whatever it is to go. And that costs a lot of money. And even that repeated financial issues, I might have already been in poverty and I don't have any income at all. So all these are barriers for people to access healthcare. For any healthcare health issues, we think twice, thrice. We think for 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days before we actually can't live at all at home with this, so that we somehow go to hospital. So these are you must have seen some of these slides maybe in the previous sessions taken by somebody. So these are the kind of terrains which we go for home visits as Pallium India. And I like these photos mainly because I can imagine if I was at my home, maybe these would have been the situations wherein people will have to walk to my home, and my house is also not accessible at all for wheelchair. So what would it have been? So I can imagine and see. And so I like these pictures there because for me it is like these people are reaching my home. Okay, so what can palliative care do? So like in India, actually, not just in India, but any low and middle income countries, that physical disabilities itself cause serious health related suffering. So in high income countries, they have many other healthcare benefits, and they have access to many facilities that it doesn't cause much issues. But in a country like ours, we have that itself. I have a spinal cord injury, and that means that I may get a skin issue, I may get like pressure sores after some time, and I may get another secondary complications from repeated urinary infections and many other issues. So these are all possible because we lack a lot of we don't have proper access to many healthcare institutions. So we don't have availability of rehabilitation center, and whenever it is available, not many people will be able to afford to go to a rehabilitation center. And so that means that we always end up more dependent on other people, unlike countries in the like high income countries. There they actually has access outside. That environment is extremely accessible. They can go anywhere they want. And in their rehabilitation center, they are assessed and they are provided the kind of assistive devices which they need, so that they go and they live a life independently as much as possible. But that's not the case in our country and many other countries like ours. So what we should do is palliative care should include people with disabilities into its spectrum, so that we can at least mitigate the suffering. So when we do that for people in our care, that means that, okay, they get enough access to the information that how to care for their skin, how to care for their bladder, so that they don't get these secondary complications, and they're actually trained in wheelchair so that they can use wheelchair and they can be as independent as possible. And it's not just Pallium India, but I know that many NGOs in Kerala are doing it, and many other NGOs in other outside Kerala are also trying this, but maybe because it started long back in Kerala and developed a bit more than other states in states here. Because of that reason, there are a lot of NGOs which started to care for people with disabilities, and also started doing like having their own extra organizations or additional facilities to care only for people with disabilities and not as an part of palliative care. So all this happened in Kerala, and this is something which we all can do across the country, and there is a huge need for this. So what we can do, we are all palliative care providers, and you're all here today to learn how you can like integrate palliative care into your services, wherever you do, whatever you do. So I hope that, or I believe that you are here today because you want to integrate these palliative care concepts into your services, whatever you're providing at the moment. So what you as a person can do, or you as a palliative care provider can do. So I believe that the total health of a society is health of all of its members. So that includes those with disabilities also. So the moment you care for people with disabilities and you enable them or empower them to be a supportive and to be a contributing member of the society, what do is like you improve the health of the society, the whole society, because I'm not just using all the resources of the society. I'm also trying to give back to the society, many like in whatever ways possible, though it is small. I may not be able to do everything you do, but maybe I'll try to do whatever I can also, so that I'll I'll also be a contributing part of the society, not just the receiving end. So you can do sorry, what is the importance of that is why it is important that we should include people with disabilities. So you can sensitize yourself to the specific issues and challenges. There'll be so many issues which we take it for granted, so we don't understand what it is many times, and we are not taught about it in any of our curriculums, or we never get a chance in our community or in schools or wherever it is to understand this. So it is on us to sensitize ourselves on what are the needs of this group of people and what are the challenges they go through on a day-to-day basis. And okay, this is so many times this happens in healthcare also, so that the moment you have a disability, like you don't have an opinion, or you can't express your opinions, you're not asked for it. So that I've seen it many times in my own life, that okay, people talk about you, people talk about your care, people talk about what you want, but you're not asked, you're not consulted. Just because I cannot move on my own, that doesn't mean that I cannot think or I cannot take decisions. I may not be able to take decisions on my own, independent always, but I'll always have a say in it for sure. Because when you give maximum information to me, okay, so this is what is happening, this is how we think that this is going to happen in the future. This is your diagnosis. This is your prognosis. And what would you like to do with your life? That is one question I would want my doctors to ask me, my healthcare providers to ask me, so that whatever is important for me is there, and you are trying to get me that. You're not trying to get me everything else in this world except for what I want. So only when you ask, Only when we decide together as a patient and a provider together, that you'll be able to do it. So, and like it is important for us to learn all these things, not just because there are people with disabilities and you are going to care for them. But as I said in the WHO facts, that many of us will experience disability at some point in our life. So because of that, and when you think about it, okay, so you will have an option or opportunity to actually think what you need, what would it be like and to go through this and all. And not only because of that, but I am a part of this community now. So we have 51 people, we as a community today. So I am a part of this community, and uh, if we are all living together in this community for 1.5 hours today, that means that we need to respect each other. We need to uh, have dignity in this space. We need to see to each other that we are helping each other and we are not hurting each other. So to do that also, that you need to take your time so that you learn something, you understand something about how to make this happen. Especially as healthcare providers, we have a huge responsibility to do this. So the last point which I wrote it is the one which I explained just now, because it's not always about them and you, that all people with disabilities, they are all there and you are on the other side. It is about all of us together. We are in this together. So because of that also, that you need to think of it and you need some time to understand what it is. So this is what you can do, and I'm actually going to take you through some disability etiquettes, because the only reason I want to do this in this forum is because we never get an opportunity to actually learn these things in our schools or colleges or any other community where we are there. So we never get an opportunity. So what happens is, like, as children, we are always curious. We treat people the same. We look at them. We ask all these innocent questions, trying to understand what is the difference between two people. One is using some machine or using some vehicle to go through, to move from one place to another, and other people are walking. Why are you not walking just like I'm walking? That is actually a very innocent, curious question when it comes from children. But then we never give answers to children when they ask at that age, and we tell them, okay, don't look at, and we actually pull them from those situations. And when we grow up as an adult, we start staring at people. We don't know how to handle this situation, so we start making different comments, we start ignoring, we start insulting. So all these happens because we don't have we were not given an opportunity to learn for the first time. So I'm just giving you these here so that many of you, I know, that must have gone through these kind of things and looked up these things, but I'm just taking this opportunity to tell you this so that if any of you do not know this, you get an opportunity to learn this. And also that you can tell this to other people when you get an opportunity. So these are only some of them, and you can look up on Google for many. So the first and foremost is like that, don't assume that I need the help which you think I need. Many times it's not. I've been using this wheelchair for many, many years now, and I had a manual chair before, and now I use an electric wheelchair. So I know what kind of a help I need on a daily basis, or when I sit on this wheelchair, what is the help I need. So I've had many people who actually push my wheelchair. This wheelchair is around 43 kg, and I must be easily some 65 kg. So it is more than 100 kg for sure. And I've had many people who tried to push my wheelchair uh, because they wanted to help me so badly. They didn't know what to do to help me, so they just try pushing the wheelchair. So that's not something which you should do. That's something actually you should avoid doing that. Please don't assume that I need help for sure. So what you can do is like, okay, you can just come and say that, okay, you may need some help, or I assume that you may need some help. So I'm here. Please ask me whatever it is, or tell me what to do and how to do, and then you can try doing it. Because many times there are, like, when I get used to some kind of thing, so I become an expert in that. So there is a way I take things, and there is a way I actually open my water bottle, or use my mobile, or use my laptop, or whatever it is. Maybe I need it to be placed in certain way, that so that I can take it and I can use it. So only when you actually ask what kind of help I need, I'll be able to tell you that, okay, I need this kind of help. Can you help me? Because many times when you go into an like society wherein you are the only one who's having a disability, and people are actually so confused and so embarrassed to ask you for something, you also kind of find it difficult to ask for help. So when the moment you go and like you come and tell me that, okay, I see that you may need some help, so I'm here if you need it, and tell me how do I do it, and I'll try my best to do it the way you want. So that gives me a confidence. That gives me that, okay, I sit in a place wherein there are people I can go and confidently ask, so that I'll be able to say that, okay, can you reduce the speed of the fan? And I don't have a temperature regulation mechanism in my body. Many times I must be feeling so cold or so hot. So I'll be able to ask you without any difficulties, that when you promise that. So instead of assuming that, please offer your help, and please be patient enough to listen to them, to understand what they need and do it, instead of simply making a decision that, okay, since I'm sitting on a wheelchair, I need help to go from one place to another, and so that you start pushing it. I might be sitting on that place and doing something on my own, and I'll be there for next 1 hour doing that. I don't want you to come and actually pull me or push me from that position. That's one thing. Okay. Yeah, many times you get so confused. I'm sure that many of you in this room would also be wondering, okay, what do you call? Like, should I call people with should I say people with disabilities, or should I say handicapped? Should I say differently able? Should I say Divyansh? And these are all so much of like so many doubts. You don't know what to. So when you don't know, you ask me, what is your name? And call me my name. That's enough. Like, that's what you do when you meet a stranger, right? So you don't start thinking about, okay, what should I call this person, Mr. or Miss or Mrs. or Master or whatever it is. You just, what is your name? You say hello and you ask for name and you call by that name. Okay, that's enough. And okay, so I'm 40 years old. And I have had this experience many times that, okay, the moment you sit like in a wheelchair, you are treated like a child. They're always like, okay, I mean, so the way they like speak also, what do you want? Like, so like you talking to the child, and then also treating like, okay, you don't know anything, you don't know, you can't take any decisions on your own, and you want them to do everything for you. So the moment that happens, that you don't feel included in that society at all you want is to run away from that place. So please don't do it as an adult, so I'll be, and sometimes it happens the other way also, that, okay, and children with congenital disabilities, or children who got this disability in early on their stages, okay, they'll on like on in their birthday of 18, they don't become an adult. So there will be many issues where they need help, but at least help the transition if you know them personally, and if you are treating them, if they are your patients, give that opportunity for shared decision making and shared empowerment. So you help them to become an adult, but don't keep treating them as an adult. We also have many patients to whom we started meeting at 4 years old or 5 years old. So that is sometimes an issue for us because we've been seeing them as children, and then the moment they get into this adolescence and adulthood, it's difficult for us to do that. But you have to consciously try and do this when you're treating somebody in a healthcare settings as a palliative care provider or any healthcare provider for that matter, and as an individual of this society, member of this society. When you treat a stranger with a disability, treat, if it is an adult, treat them as an adult. Okay, so this is also very interesting how we actually assume that people who are like using wheelchairs and they can't speak back or they can't understand, they can't read. I had this interesting experience once, like we all as a team, I think some of my colleagues and some guests who came here, we all went to a hotel. So everybody except for me like was offered a menu card. They all got one and they were all reading, and we were all actually chatting and like discussing on what to eat and many other things along with that. So and then this person came and waiter came and asked me, okay, what would you like to order? So then I said, like, you didn't give me a menu card, and how do you think I'll find out what would I like to eat? So, and then he apologized that, okay, I'm sorry, and then got me one. So I just wanted to tell this. I didn't want to actually hurt him, but I just wanted him to understand that, okay, 10 people on a table. And if it is on sharing, okay, if you are giving it for 2 people together, one, that is okay. But when you do it as to all other individuals and not to you, that is because you are conditioned in such a way that the moment you see somebody, okay, anyway, this person needs assistance to eat, this person need assistance to move, so maybe he or she needs assistance to choose what he or she is going to eat also. May not be the case. So, and many times that you go and talk to, if my mom is standing next to me, you go and talk to your, like my mom asking, what happened to her? Where, like, what is she doing? What is her problem? What happened to her? All those kind of questions to my whoever is standing next to me and not to me directly. I've seen it many times. So you can do it. You can just ask, and actually that is the polite and dignified way of doing it. If I'm not able to converse with you, then maybe the my caregiver will be able to do that for me. But still, address and speak to me directly when you do it for the first time, unless you are told that, okay, I cannot speak, I cannot converse for some reason, so please don't disturb me for that. So unless you are told that, please talk directly to me. And yes, this is actually, people lean on wheelchairs, people actually try to move without permission, and there is actually, you are risking this person's life also many times when you move wheelchair without permission, because I may be like seen as, okay, I sit so erect and I sit so stable, but my body balance, you have no idea about how my body works or what kind of balance I have. But so if you simply come and try to push it suddenly without asking me or without telling me, I can actually fall down from this wheelchair to the ground. It can many times happen. And then also the kind of speed, how fast I can move in a wheelchair, where should I like hold before you move to wheelchair. And sometimes I had this experience also when I was using my manual wheelchair. It has the rim for me to help push the wheelchair, and then my fingers were inside that, and when one person tries to push that wheelchair, actually my fingers are stuck. in the rim. So that can actually hurt me very badly. So for somebody who can only use their hands and fingers for their all their activities, and what you are doing is to make them more disabled if you are hurting that person in that position. So not just for that person's dignity, but for their safety also, you need to remember these kind of points. So, okay. So talk to them as you would to anybody else. So this is something which, as I said in the first, second or third point, that, okay, how do you address? So you can also, you don't have to actually ask me always what happened to you. Oh, did you fell? Okay, so how was it? So how long were you in hospital? Did you try Ayurveda, or did you try this doctor? That doctor is actually, I know that I know somebody whom he actually helped to walk. So these are informations which you can give me, but not for on the first day, the first minute you meet me. So that is the day and minute and day and time for you to actually ask me what is your name and say hello, from where are you coming, how do you feel, what is the weather, all these kind of things you speak to somebody else without any disability. So when you met in this community as on the first day, you were also doing that, introducing yourselves, that, okay, I come from this place and I do this, and I worked in these places, and I love this, I love walking, I love reading, I love to travel. These kind of things, you share these kind of general informations. You don't ask anybody about their health status. You don't give advices to people on their whatever it is. So please don't do that to any person with disability also. Get to know them. And once we are friends, you can maybe say that, okay, did you actually try this? I think that will be useful for you. And okay, I don't mind getting that kind of information. I actually appreciate that kind of information when we are close to each other, when we know each other enough to share that kind of information. So, okay, and this is something which is, if possible, because the way I look at people when they stand in front of me, so like if I talk to them for 2 minutes in that position, I have my neck pain for next 3 days. So because for many reasons we have this physical issues, and we'll be struggling with many other health issues along with. So as much as comfortable you can make me, please do it. So when you meet somebody else, so say that, okay, find a chair and sit there if possible. Or if you're standing, just ask, because when you stand and it is like you are ordering and I'm receiving that order. When you sit down, we are all on an equal plane and we are sharing information, and you're not giving it and I'm not receiving it. We are sharing each other. So do it if possible. And even if it is not possible, many times if you have to stand, you can't squat, you have to stand, then please do it. But at least ask that person, like, are you comfortable? Like, is it long time for you to talk to me in this position? Shall we continue the conversation later? Are you okay? Are you comfortable? You can ask these kind of questions so that I can say that, okay, my neck is hurting. So maybe move a little backward so that the angle is less, and then speak a bit louder so that I can hear you. So those kind of issues, or maybe I can give you some kind of, okay, maybe we'll go out, sit somewhere out. There is a position where we can go and sit, place where we can go and sit. So ask people whether they are comfortable doing that. And I took these, all these are for people with, applicable for people with disability, physical disabilities. I took this because I can relate this to my experience and share that with you. And there are so many other list of things which you can find on Google, on internet. So please do it when you have some time, when you want to do it, because we don't get a chance, as I said, we don't get a chance to learn all these kind of things um, in school or in any other community where we are as of now. So it is our own responsibility to go through all these and sensitize yourself, because we are all like responsible citizens of the society, and we have to be doing this. So it is on all of us for us to go through these, find this information, and then make yourself familiarize yourself with these kind of information. So here we come to the end of this session. So I'll just leave you with one message. Can I have one volunteer who can actually read this for me? Any one volunteer who can read this aloud?
Um, okay, can I read it? This is
Yeah, sure,
Preeti.
sure. Thank you. Thank you, Preeti.
People asked me how best they should describe me: differently abled, Divyangjan, or disabled. My response is call me Ashla. If you insist on an adjective, I prefer disabled. I am disabled not because I use a wheelchair. I am disabled because I cannot access the outside world. I am disabled because buildings around me are built without access for me, because the pavements, public offices, restaurants, and ATMs are not wheelchair accessible. I am disabled because you cannot think of me as a contributing citizen of the country. Calling me different or specially abled or Divyanjan does not change anything. Make the environment accessible, your attitude open and welcoming. I shall stop being disabled, then I will be just Ashla, another human being like you.
So this is something which I thought that, okay, so crux of what I wanted to tell you all, that, okay, so this is not just for me, but for any person with disability you meet in your life, anywhere in this society. So I'm just stopping it here. We have some 5 minutes wherein if you have any questions, you can ask me, and then we will go to case presentation.
First, a big thank you, Ashla. You have
Thank you,
given
ma'am.
us inspiring, encouraging information. Okay, you have brought your heart out. Okay, that's what it is. First, all of us should learn to respect each other. And many times you said you're doing something or very little. No, there's a very good statement. Something is better than nothing. Okay, so 8 out of 10 may not be giving anything. So you're giving something at least. So that is the way forward. And let us, all of us, start thinking like that. Let me do something at least. So there's a very well-known statement. If you look at a cup of tea, which is half full, you can look at it as it is half full or half empty. It's how you look at it. So that is what is important, respecting each other. And you have given us so many practical things. As you said, this is one aspect of it. So we have to develop empathy and put the other person's, learn to understand the other person's situation, and also try to help what is possible, and give autonomy is something very, very important in palliative care. Give that person their due dignity and diligence, and then go forward to help. Okay, so now either you can type in the chat, or as she said, we'll have few minutes of any burning queries, and then after the case presentation we can have a discussion for both sessions together also. Either you can unmute and ask, or you can type in the chat, whichever each one prefers, that's fine. As long as everyone has their all queries solved or fulfilled, that is the aim of the session.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Ashla, the first time that you came on the Zoom meeting prompted me to take this decision to be on this platform. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
So in that case, can we go ahead with the case presentation?
Sure, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Today we are having a case presentation by Miss Veena Thomas. Veena ma'am, are you there?
Yeah,
Please go on.
okay. Thank you, Sonia. Can you hear me?
Yes ma'am, please. You're
Okay.
audible.
Good afternoon to all. I am Veena Thomas, working as a medical social worker at Rajagiri Hospital. And as we know, Rajagiri Hospital is a quaternary level hospital located in Alava, Kerala. And in our Rajagiri Hospital, we have a very strong palliative home care program. And we covered 15 panchayats and 3 municipalities. And we registered around 957 palliative care patients. And we have palliative trained doctors, nurses, social workers, and physiotherapists. And we provide totally free home care. I think let's move on to the case presentation. Yeah. This is the patient's overview. Almost 1 year back, we had a patient who is 14-year-old gentleman, and he was working as a painter. Unfortunately, one day he had an accident and he fell from the height. Then he paralyzed. And the patient's medical condition, the patient had an accident on April 21st, 2021. As a result, the patient's spinal cord was injured and the patient reached a traumatic paraplegia condition. And insomnia and the tensions were the main medical problems of this patient. And also, he had two large fourth stage pressure ulcers in his buttocks area. Okay, uh, this is the patient insight. The patient knows about his illness through the family members and doctors, and his family members also know patient's diagnosis through the and the prognosis. He could not accept the prognosis. He believes in a chance of recovery, and his family members, especially his children, believe in a chance of recovery. Then palliative care, we provide comfort care, and the family members know about it's a care for the bedridden patients. Next slide. Okay, this is the patient's family tree or genogram. We can see the both patient's father and mother died when the patient was young, and he has a brother who died few months ago. And this patient lives with his wife and 3 children. They are students. Next. Okay. The patient gets more support from his wife and neighbors. Yeah. And as I said earlier, the patient lives with his wife and children. After the patient's accident, the wife started going to work, and her monthly salary was only 40,000 rupees. And this money was used for house and children's education. And he has not accepted to his condition, and this family is financially backward. And he had a habit of drinking alcohol, but it stopped 2 months before its accident. And the patient and family have not adjusted to the patient's current situation. Okay. And next, we will see our patient psychological overview. After the accident, the patient does not want to talk to anyone or not want to go out or spend time with the family, and he does not even like to see the light. And he is now in a state of despair, and he does not sleep day and night. So he had insomnia, and the patient worries about children's future. Whenever then that time when our team visited, the patient was not ready to talk. As a result of constant visits and interactions, the patient was willing to share his concerns. The patient had insomnia because he is very worried about his children's future, especially his younger daughter is hearing impaired. And another important point, he occasionally talks about committing suicide. So this was a main challenge for us. Next slide. And okay, now let's take a look at patient's total pain. First, let's look at the physical pain. Physical pain, he's a bound patient. Pain, lack of sleep, fatigue, constipation, and pressure ulcer. And the psychological problems, he had suicidal tendencies, tension, irritability, loneliness, aversion to life. And the socio-economic problems or socio-economic pain, social isolation, financial crisis, unemployment, and children's education. And spiritual pain, I think we know what is existential pain is. The patient would always say, why I live, or why my life, or why my. So this is the main total pain our patient have. But with the constant interaction of our team and regular physiotherapy, the patient condition is improved. And another slide. Okay, discussion points. How can we rehabilitate this patient, and how to remove the thoughts of committing suicide, and how does the patient's illness impact the overall well-being of the family, especially his children? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Veena ma'am, for that case presentation. Radha ma'am.
Yes. First, let me check. Thank you very much for the case, dear. It's, as you have mentioned, the discussion points, if we go ahead and consider one at a time, all of them, that will be an eye-opener, giving us all the information that we need for the discussion. And so we'll either wait for people to type on the chat, or the other option is you can all, either if someone wants to unmute and ask, you can do that too. We'll go one at a time. How can we rehabilitate this patient? What are the components that we should look into?
Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead.
We can provide wheelchair for the patient to walk and do some work, so he can, so the suicidal thinking will be reduced and he will be happy for some time.
Exactly. First, we have to tell him that there is a way out of not like first treat. Like first, the thing is us to treat his bed sores and make him comfortable. So first, nursing care and counseling together, because the primary physical issue has to be solved. Then along with that, you have the rehabilitation of the patient is what you have mentioned, is to provide facilities for him to treat the primary problem first. Make sure that if he's going to have an ulcer, even if you give him a wheelchair, he won't be able to sit on the wheelchair. So primary thing, treat the primary issue and teach him how to avoid getting into pressure sores. So once that is done, and then we give him aids. Again and again, as we heard in the talk, we have to give him all the options, show him what is there, ask him to try and what is best for him. See, we have to treat him as anyone. You and I will like to do what is best for us. So the same dignity to be given to him, so that he has the opportunity. He will think, oh, I have also been made to think and consider. So that is what, and I'm just reading the information in the chat also. Has psychiatric evaluation been done? Yes, needs to be done. First, to give him the confidence with his family, that his family can be taken care of. Yes, that will allay one of his anxiety. Then palliative care comes in. He may also need physiotherapy. Yes, definitely. Continuous counseling, get him back to life and bring the bigger. Just to know whether psychiatry intervention or anything was thought of. And again, regarding those things, resources are important. Not every center will have a psychologist or a psychiatrist available. So either that center or nearby referral. What was the issue there, or how was there an opportunity to refer him to psychiatry? Hello?
No?
I'm just asking whether that question, whether psychiatry referral was done or.
Yeah, we referred a psychologist.
Yes, that's what. See, whatever is available, psychiatry may not be that. As I mentioned, no, these resources are very scarce all over the world. It's not in one place. So we have to make sure what is available we have to use. So psychologist is equally important. A counseling type of thing has to be done for him and the family separately, and then together for both. Fine. Then that how to remove the thought of committing suicide from the patient is by repetitive counseling, guidance for him, giving, as mentioned in the chat, just by improving his confidence and making him feel that he is not useless. That is one thing which always they feel, because they cannot do, they think that. So it's not so. Physically, he may not be able to do. Emotionally, he may be an important part for the family. He is a father for the children and husband to that wife. So we have to encourage him, telling that physically you may not be able to do. He can still give them advice. He could give suggestions. So improving and ascertaining his importance. Physical is not the only thing. So that is by repetitive counseling. One counseling will not do everything. Counseling alone has to be done few times. And each time something positive has to be obtained. And as mentioned, deep listening. Listening itself will cure many things. Psychotherapy, counseling, physiotherapy. Yes, everything. Literally every word of it. Physical, mental, and physiotherapy, psychotherapy, everything to be given individually. See, in this part, it has to be given for the patient separately and for the family also. Because the family are also upset. First thing, they have to be told what it is, what exact awareness, education to the family. Because everyone, all of us will be in a phase of denial first. Not only medicine, in everyday walk of life, we are in denial for many things. One simple thing, I will think only I know. So we're not willing to accept that I don't know something. Everyone can't be expert. We can learn and become expert. So like that phase of denial happens in every walk of life. Knowledge or awareness, education is what takes that away. So that has to be done. And step by step, being patient, first listen to him, tell him what it is, give him ways and means of managing, give him the confidence to manage, tell him that, and then many times make them see others. Like, see, Ashla is a living example to show to the world that she can do and help others. She's not only doing something for herself, she is contributing to the society, to the welfare of one and all. She is not thinking of herself. She has put I behind the we. What how can all of us be? So that is so important. She's a living role model. So those, if you show her to him, he will gain all confidence. Oh, I can also do. So something like that. That's why in many situations, group meeting and things are very helpful. Many of us will be thinking to ourselves, oh, I'm the only person struggling on earth. When you see someone struggling more, mine is nothing. So that will give each one a confidence. So that is another approach. How does the patient's illness impact the overall well-being of the family, especially
Excuse me,
children?
ma'am.
Go ahead.
I think Ashla ma'am have something to add on.
Yes, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Those were all very good points. And I just wanted to add one thing that the first thing what happens is like you lose your, like you fall from a height. You were working one day, you were doing things and you were supposed to complete the work, get your money and go back home, but you end up in hospital. The complete dynamics of family changes. The moment you are not earning, you don't have control. You have already lost the control over your physical activities, your body, and you also have lost control over your financial thing. So the moment the wife is working, what happens usually is like, okay, she takes control, and that happens automatically. It is not like, okay, she purposefully does, and then children comes and ask, okay, mom, can I have the money or can I do this? So the person who is there feels that, okay, I have no control and nobody is respecting me anymore and I'm not needed anymore because I'm not working. And Radhama mentioned this, like, so and the like feeling of being needed is so important. And what we can do is to facilitate with this family and tell them that how to include. Maybe they can talk instead of talking to mom in the in the kitchen while she's working. They can all sit together, or they can get this person on the wheelchair and get to wherever it is possible, and they can sit together and talk, or they can all eat even in that this person's room, instead of only this person is fed in the room and all others are sitting in the kitchen and eating. So that the easy ways of including this person into life, because when you, the moment you are in this bed, you are always spending the 24/7, you're spending on the bed, you are asked to prawn lie, you're asked to lie down always, don't sit so much, don't do this, don't do that. And it's so much to handle. But the moment the family is trying to include, that might reduce a bit. And but for the family to do this, as Radha ma'am said, we all feel devastated. The families also, they don't have any experience. This wife who was actually a housewife now started going for work for the first time. She is struggling, and also that she doesn't know how to dress his wound. She was just told once or showed once from the hospital and asked to do it at home. How expert she'll be to do that? And how can we expect her to be all these caregiving expert in one moment? And how hospitals are helping? Unless it is palliative care, or unless there is an educated medical professional who knows how to provide this caregiver education, that doesn't happen. So these are all huge burden or responsibility on the shoulders of the family. So we as palliative care providers can help them to actually go through this and maybe give some small suggestions on try this, like get the children to go and study in the room, so that at least he will see that, okay, this person is studying, doing something, whether he'll be able to help him in some way or not, but still at least he feels part of it. So something small things, every little bit adds to it. So the moment you don't have anything, every drop counts. So whatever you can do for facilitating that may be helpful, so that I feel like useful when I still am on my bed, so that people are coming and asking me, shall I do this? Or can I sit with you and do this work so that I get some company? That means that, okay, I'm giving company to somebody. So we need something to hold on to until he is able to sit on a wheelchair and work on his own. That may take years, but we need something to hold on to. So just wanted to add that, ma'am. Back to you.
Definitely. True. This inclusion is so important. Just by including, and the suggestions what Ashla has given is practically true. Go eat there, go sit and read there. Even reading a newspaper or watching a mobile, do that in that room. So basically, to give them the confidence that you are not neglecting them. By including, you are also showing them that you're not neglecting, because that fear and feeling of uselessness and neglect, I am helpless, hopeless, all that is what is like a vicious circle, brings them down. So if they themselves are enthusiasts, then they will come out. Even what they are not revealing will come out. So those are things which are very helpful. So inclusion is important, gives them the positive feeling. Okay, and practically, and each one, and everything doesn't happen in one overnight. It's a long drawn process. Even caring, helping, wound care, all these are taught by the home care teams. And there are easy home care remedies, like for wound care or even for the smell of the wound. To avoid that, there are some techniques which are taught, like you put a charcoal or a newspaper at the wound. These are all things which are taught by the home care team. Like this, even for dressing, we teach them inexpensive techniques. How to use your home rice cooker as an autoclave and use them. So all these are taught. So we can help both financially, nursing care, but it's a long drawn process of teaching patiently to the carers and the patient. And so there are many, many things. In one day, nothing happens. Nothing happens overnight. All these fast food, fast things, no, are nice to see. But practically, you keep on doing something gradually, little by little, everywhere the benefit will come for the patient, for the family. And once that comes, the benefit is obtained by them, but seen by their own eyes. So they will positively continue doing it. So those are things. It's a slow process, but it will give good benefit. Teaching, telling, and then once or twice when a home care nurse goes, they can tell them these things. And then when they do that on a daily basis, it would have been something simple. They will all be studying or doing, but they may be doing in another room or talking somewhere else. So if they come and do all these, if we teach them practically, will be helpful. Is there anything else someone wants to say or present, anything like that? Very practical case, and these are things which have to come into our mind slowly. And always know, everything may not strike you now. You sit back, and next time when you see a patient like that, oh, that'll put two and two together. Oh, this is what we saw that day. We spoke about it. Now I've got the opportunity to do it. So that is when you have to slowly but steadily approach it, having all what we have dealt today in mind, so that you will not be apprehensive. The other end receiving person is going to be happy because you did it the way they wanted it. So there are so many benefits just by learning and implementing it. Ashla, anything else you would like to convey?
No, ma'am. I think we have discussed everything already, like the physical issues, and I want you all to remember one thing also, because many times we see that people come with secondary complications which could have been avoided very easily if they had the enough information, the right kind of information at the right time. So when you have an opportunity to meet people in early in their life, whatever is preventable, please try to educate them. And just by telling, because what happens many times is like you are an expert. You tell this to everybody so that you know the 10 steps to follow, and you tell that in one breath. But for the person who is hearing it, she or he may not have slept for 5 days, must have been caring for a person who was in an accident 10 days back, and will not have anything in their mind at all at that point of time. So please be aware of that, and then maybe try to write it in a piece of paper and give it, or try to repeat it, so that get them repeat, so that they understand it, so that it shows that you care for them, that you also understand that it takes some effort to learn that. Otherwise, my mom will feel so inhibited that, okay, you guys are all learned professionals and coming and telling you do this, you do that. She'll be so scared. She'll be so scared to tell you even if she made a mistake, because she knows that, okay, you are going to think like inferior, or like going to scold her, or whatever it is. So whatever she is going through as of now, and then that will add to it. So just take that, be compassionate, and just explain them, okay, this is, and anytime if you have a doubt, please ask me back. I'll be there to answer that. So when you offer that, they'll have that confidence to try things out, because like we as professionals, we learn things. You took 4 years to get your nursing degree, or 5 years for your medical degree, or 2 or 3 years for your social work degree, or whatever it is. So it all took a lot of practice to do that. And a poor caregiver overnight, she or he has lost everything, and has the whole family to handle, and this health issue, which he never had an opportunity to even think of studying. So please think of that, and whatever is preventable, let us please prevent it in the first place, so that we don't have to. It take only like 3 to 4 hours to get a pressure sore, and it can take an year to actually heal it. So you are saving that person when you teach them, and you teach them the importance of doing it also. So thank you. I just wanted to add that.
Exactly. See, education, as Ashla mentioned, see, even in my day-to-day life, I keep telling people, see, if I say to one X, okay, that X may be meeting some more people, or she may have 100 friends or family. So that is, so educating someone who is willing to re-educate is very important, and prevention is better than cure. Always doing something beforehand and avoiding the situation is very important. Anything for that matter is like that. If you prevent, it's easy. After that, managing it, yes, we can manage, but you have to go through with the pain, with the issues, everything. So wherever it can be possible, times, it has to be done at the right time. So please try to educate and raise awareness about, especially about palliative care, volunteering. Everyone can be of some help. Don't think, oh, I have to be an expert to help. Whatever help you can do, try. Be willing to help. That is what is important. So, we had a lovely, informative experience.
Ma'am, can
Go ahead.
I think my question is very silly because, but what I will ask is, how I failed in few exams. My neighbors, my relatives, wherever I go, they all come and ask me about this failed exam. So I find it very difficult. I find it very difficult when people ask me about this failure that I had earlier. I mean, like when I fail in exams and all. And my question is, how do you have a disability or you face unfortunate incident in your life and you're carrying it you, how do you handle that public stare, or how do you handle the sympathy that you get from your society, relatives? I know this is very silly to ask, but still, this is a doubt that I have.
I'm going to ask Ashla to go ahead first.
Thank you, ma'am. Aishwarya, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for asking. It is not silly. It is not silly for that person to go through it. I know, I understand that. So there is no simple single answer to that also. So many times it like there will be one person in our life somewhere, maybe a distant relative or a distant friend or whoever is showing us that, okay, this is a real fear, or this is actually, I don't know the details of what you have just told, but whatever it is, some kind of people whom we feel that we may understand, just hold on to that, or maybe hold on to something which we can do on our own. So, and then go from there. So there is no easy way to do it. There is no single way to do it for sure, but it's something which we just sometimes, I don't know, when people ask me, okay, how did you go through all this? I don't have an answer. I just, okay, I was lucky enough to get some support from my mom, from Pallium India, and from many other people. So all those small things, but these are all not small for us. So take on to those kind of simple things, or even if it is distant, or even if when we felt or we thought that was distant, but that person is coming and helping us, or coming and sitting next to us, appreciate that and take strength from that and go through. So I'm not sure whether I'm answering, but one
you
thing is sure,
can.
it is not a silly question. For somebody to go through something like that, it's actually very real and very difficult. So I just wanted
It's
to acknowledge that, Aishwarya.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
definitely. See, I would just like to add on one more thing. As she mentioned, hold on, there will be, see, no one is left alone in this world. Okay? Whatever it is, whatever each one of you believe, there is some superpower behind. We have that superpower within us. Our life force is what is helping us. So get the help or assistance of someone who is willing to. Next thing I will tell you is slowly start to develop confidence in yourself. Okay? And self-pity is suicide. Don't ever develop that habit. Oh, it's me, I am not okay. That self-pity is not a good thing. Okay? Take that self-pity out and look at how am I going to get over it. Where if you have the inclination, there is a way out. Not being lazy. How am I going to overcome and get over this and be successful? Have positive thinking. 10 people are looking at and whatever belittling. Is anyone coming to help you? Look at that. So that is where your self-confidence. So is there everyone is telling or looking down or something? Is there one person coming to help you to raise you up? If they're not coming to raise you up, there's no need that you have to shun them or be rude or nothing. You just gain confidence and move forward. And that is very, very important. Good that you raised. See, not being hesitant. I'm so happy that you've been brave to ask. Okay? That is what? 10 extra points for you. Everyone, 8 out of 10 of us would have had this in our mind, but would have not had the courage to ask. So you are bold. Okay?
Thank you.
Develop that boldness as confidence and move forward. That is the way forward. So everyone will be successful. No one will be made to go down or anything like that. There's nothing like that on earth at all. Everyone is to be successful in whatever they do. So that is the way to look at it and move forward. And God's blessings will be with one and all. One person who is impartial is God. Okay? I didn't, it's not that specifically. You believe in anything, believe in yourself, you will be successful. That is what to think. So that's why self-confidence and things. Nothing should go in the wrong direction. Everything going in the right direction will definitely be successful.
Thank you,
Hope
thank you so
it gives some answer to whatever was in your mind.
much. Of course, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Radha ma'am, I think it's
Yes,
time to
yes,
end.
it's exactly. That's what I was also coming to